Good morning. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks again for tuning in this morning. It's a beautiful day where I'm at. Hopefully you're seeing the sun as well. So hopefully we'll get you out of here at 10 o'clock or so. It's a little bit of a shorter session today than yesterday. We're going to go into a little bit more detail on some of the more less obvious features and benefits and settings within Facebook. So with that, we'll just maximize the screens here. Come on, show my slideshow. And I'll ask you guys to mute yourself just to make my life a little bit easier. Okay, good stuff. So today we're going to be talking about managing your news feed, managing your ad settings. It's basically kind of helping to determine what types of ads you see on Facebook. A little bit more about privacy settings, specifically tagging and facial recognition. Then we're going to talk about belonging to either a fan page or a Facebook group. And we're going to look at some additional tools and apps. If you've got time left after that, we'll also take a look at how to create lists of friends within Facebook so that you can manage who you post to a little bit more easier. Okay, so we're going to start off with managing your news feed. After you get a lot of friends on Facebook, you'll be inundated with potential posts. On average, I've read that there are up to 1,500 posts waiting to be seen by the average Facebook user every time they log in. And so one of the secrets of Facebook is trying to decide of those 15, did I say 15,000? 1,500 posts, which of those posts they should actually show you so that you are interested in what you see and stay engaged with Facebook. So we're going to take a look at that.
No, I'm going to leave it there.
Okay, I'm just going to mute you there. I'm going to mute all participants. Mute all, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so how do we do this? Number one, sorry, I just got to manage these. I have things on my screen that you can't see and they're kind of in the way. So I got to move them around a little bit. Okay, how do you manage that? First you would go on, obviously log into Facebook, go to home, click over here where it says news feed. And the first most obvious way to manage what you see on your news feed is to click one of these two options. So you could see what Facebook deems to be top stories, those that are getting a lot of engagement from other people. If you click that, those are the first ones you're going to see at the top of your screen. Or you could choose to click most recent. And if you choose that, it's more of a chronological ordering of posts regardless of how popular they are. So those are the first two most obvious ways that you can determine what shows up on your news feed. The next approach is to click Edit Preferences here. When you do that, you're going to get a pop-up screen that looks something like this. And so I'm going to walk you through what that looks like in real time. Give me a half a sec. I've got to minimize the screen. It's not minimizing. Okay, there we go. So I'll go to my Facebook page. Let's get rid of that. Click Edit Preferences here. Get this pop-up, and so let's go through. It's a nice menu, it's very easy to navigate. So let's try to prioritize who I see first in my news feed. And it's simply a matter of just clicking on stuff. So let's say I really have, good friends with Sheila. I want to see her stories first in my news feed. Again, once you got hundreds of friends, you could be very inundated with stories. So you want to start, curating your list. So let's click Sheila, and all of a sudden she's one of the people I see first. Right now, my wife is currently obviously one of the people I see first. Let's say, or let's use my sister as a better example. Let's say I have a fight with my sister and I don't want to see her first anymore. I just click that button, boom, she's gone. I'll still see her post, but they won't be on the top of my list. Within this little area, you can filter this list of things. So as you know, you can have friends in Facebook and you can follow organizations or companies. And so I've just clicked the filter here. These are all the pages that I follow. I'm in Rotary District 780, So let's click that one. So I'll see these district posts first on my list. And once you're done, all you have to do, and again, you know, we got this little elevator. It'll continue to show you more and more people as you scroll down. Once I'm done, click done. There you go. You just prioritized the types of posts you're going to see first every time you open up Facebook in a given day. Okay. Now we talked a little bit yesterday about unfollowing. So here's another opportunity to unfollow people. I can, this is a full list of my friends. If I wanted to, I could use this place on Facebook to unfollow a friend. So let me see, I'm going to pick on somebody here that I haven't seen in a long, long time. Or organization, Rotary Club of Burlington Central. Don't take it personally if you're on the call. I could just click this. All of a sudden, they are unfollowed. That means that I'm not going to see their posts on my timeline anymore. I could re-click it if I wanted to. Simple as that. I'm now following them again. Okay. So again, if I was on here, I could scroll down and eventually see all the people and all the organizations and brands that I follow by going down this. When I'm done, just click done and you're on to the next. So let's say I unfollowed somebody and you know, hit a rough patch in our relationship, and you know, we reconciled, now we're friends again. So here I can reconnect with people that I have unfollowed. So remember, I just clicked the Rotary Club. I unfollowed them about an hour ago. Well, actually, I did that just for the call. I could click on them and say, boom, I'm following you again. Okay, so very easy way to reconnect with people who I've unfollowed. And then there's also something called a snooze setting. So, let's say, let's say your cousin goes on vacation for a month to Europe, and every day she's posting like a dozen pictures of every city and every church and every monument she sees in Europe. And after a while, it gets a little tedious. You can put them on snooze. And so a snooze setting is essentially not seeing that individual's post for 30 days. So they're still your friends. You haven't unfriended them. You haven't unfollowed them. You're just kind of putting them on the back burner for a little while. Let them have their trip to Europe. They'll come back. Life will resume. You'll see their regular posts at that point in time. So you can just snooze people here. Matt Deline, you know, click, unclick. Simple as that. And you're set to go. Okay. So that's this, you know, series of clicks is probably the easiest way to determine what's on your news feed. And I actually spend most of the time on my news feed because it's, you know, it's where I stay in contact with most people and see what's going on in their daily life. Okay, let's get back to the presentation here. Give me a second. My computer's a little slow. There we go. Okay, so moving on. So that was your news feed. Now we can also manage our timeline. If we go to this little chevron, we see the drop down, click on settings, we get to this screen, then we click on here, timeline and tagging. This allows us to determine the types of things that are going on in your timeline. And remember, your timeline is where all your posts show up and or posts that people have put on your timeline specifically, okay? So I think back to the demo. Let's go back to this. Sorry, this is taking, there we go. Let's minimize that. Click on the chevron, click to settings. I'm gonna leave this page. Click to timeline right here. So who can put stuff on my timeline? You can edit it. You could make your timeline very private. You're the only person who can put stuff in your timeline. You don't want your friends to add, you know, pictures, messages directly to your timeline, because when they do that, if you allow them to, their posts can automatically be shown to all your friends, okay? And that may be something you don't want. So I'm going to change this to only me. My timeline's a little bit private in my mind, so I'm going to limit my timeline to only stuff that I create and post for myself or for my friends to see. Who can see what other posts to your timeline? So let's say this was, I'll change this back to friends. My friends can post to my timeline, but I can change it so that only I get to see what they post. Or I can change it to my friends can see what they post, or I can change it to everyone can see what they post. It becomes a public post. So I'm going to change this to only me. Okay, creates a little bit more privacy in my life. Allowing others to share your post on their stories. Now, we haven't talked much about stories. Stories is ephemeral content. You can create a story in Facebook. It's something that lasts basically 24 hours and it kind of disappears. We're not going to go into that today, but that feature is out there. It was Facebook's way of kind of competing with Instagram in the early days. And if we wanted to, this is less important, we can hide comments containing certain words from your timeline. So, you know, let's say you've got a nickname you don't want people to use. You could, you know, edit that, type in the nickname here, put it in, and then, you know, you're kind of good to go. That's a feature that's not used too often. But anyways, those are very simple ways to manage a little bit about what's going on in your timeline. We're going to talk about tagging and reviewing in a second or two, which is another way to go about it too. Any questions about that? No? Okay. Next, we're going to talk about ad preferences. So yeah, we talked about privacy and information yesterday in terms of Facebook is basically an advertising company. They collect all the information you put into Facebook, whether it's on your profile or whether it's through your behaviors on profile. They use that information to sell access to you through Facebook. They don't sell your data, they sell access to you. So you have a bit of control over the type of ads you see. So let's say, for instance, and I'll just review Facebook's business model here. So let's say I've got a bike shop and I want to talk to people age 18 to 35 who are women who live within 20 miles of my shop, who said that they are interested in bicycling and they have a mobile phone because, you know, I want them to be mobile. Facebook will look at all the data of all its users that meet that criteria and create a targeting profile. For instance, somebody who specifically, you know, if you are this person, you will be targeted. A woman, 30 years old, you live in a specific city, you've identified that you're interested in bicycling, you have an iPhone, among other things, but those dark bolded comments are essentially what Facebook is using to target an ad to you. So, you know, it's a very simple idea. Who do we want to talk to? Do they meet that criteria? Yes. Boom. Facebook will serve up an ad to those individuals. Of course, advertisers have to pay for those ads, so not everybody's going to see an ad. Only the people, enough people to you know, spend the money that the advertiser puts up for the campaign. Okay, so back to settings. I'm going to manage our ad preferences here. The chevron, go to settings, next page, click on ads. Okay, let's do a little demo again. So we click settings again, get the settings menu, we're going to click on ads. Okay, so this is where it gets kind of interesting in terms of, again, these are the things that Facebook is using to determine which ads they show. So we're going to click on your interests. And so these are the interests Facebook has about me. So first of all, there's all kinds of categories. There's business and industry, there's news and entertainment, there's travel, there's hobbies, there's fitness. Click down here, there's a whole list of stuff that is currently categories of stuff that Facebook is using to categorize me. So in terms of business and industry, Facebook thinks, for whatever reason, based on probably my past behavior, that I am interested in small business, in email marketing, digital marketing, fundraising, content strategy, business, teaching. And, you know, by and large, they're right. I mean, there's nothing I actually see here on this list that is incorrect. But let's say I did say something, you know, I'm not really that interested in email marketing. I would just click that and it would be removed. So that criteria or that bit of information will no longer be used to target me for ads. Look at news and entertainment. What are the types of things that I'm into? Yep, I love military history, concerts, rock music, musicians, sheepdogs. I like that band. Went to a concert with them that put on a couple years ago. And I can kind of go on, you know, the list will go on and I can decide to take things off the list, you know, NATO member states. Nah, I'm not so interested in that. I don't want to see any kind of ads, although I can't imagine what an ad would be. Hobbies and activities. Yep. I love cars, learning guitars, photography, pets. Yep. I don't know what being is, so I'm just going to take that off. Okay, so there you go. That you have the ability to manage the types of things that Facebook thinks are of interest. Now you gotta, the more correct this is, the higher the probability you're actually going to see ads that are relevant to you. And that's not a bad thing, because you're going to see ads one way or other. And so ideally you want to see ads that you may be interested in. So we're going to scroll down, we'll click the next one. Essentially, these are websites or apps that I've interacted with. And again, Facebook will use this data to, in their eyes, in the advertiser's eyes, target me. So Canva is a piece of software that I use. Let's say somebody in in Burlington here is an expert at Canva, and they're putting on a webinar and they're charging $100 for a 3-hour course on Canva. I've indicated that I use Canva. So this is probably going to be used as a targeting mechanism for that individual if they're advertising through Facebook to reach me and suggest that I take their course. Okay. So advertisers business, like you can go on there, scroll down the page, we get your information. This is a little bit different. There are certain types of information that Facebook will allow you to decide whether they will use it or not to target your ads. It's actually only 4 categories. Your relationship status, whether you're, who your employer is, what your job title is, what your education is. So you can turn these on or off. They're like radio dials. So I'm saying yes, yes, yes. Yeah, you can use all those, or I could say no, no, no. Got a question here, Barb. Yeah.
Len wanted to know, how do you add interests?
How do you add interests? That's a good question. You could put that on your profile in terms of interests. You could specifically, let's say photography is your interest. Under your profile, remember, I'm going to kind of go back to Dan. So this is my profile. Where would it be here? Would it be about Dan? Yeah. Details about you, life events. I believe you can add some contact and basic information. Blah, blah, blah. Add who your language, political views. So under your profile, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but if you go to your profile, there's all types of categories that you can actually add specific information that others could see if you let them to, and certainly Facebook will see and use to target ads to you. But if you've used Facebook for a while, you'll find that, based on, let's say you use Facebook as a search vehicle. Let's say you're interested in photography, you type in photography, and boom, all of a sudden you're going to be shown all kinds of pages of either organizations that are into photography. As soon as you click here or you click like, you're basically signaling to Facebook that you're into photography. So that's another way that essentially Facebook is picking up that insight without you putting it onto your profile. Okay, let's go back to settings. We were looking at ad settings, right? There we go, here we go. Yes, we talked about that. Let's get on to the next one. Okay, so this is a little bit into the weeds, but we'll try to cover it quickly. Okay, can Facebook show you ads based on your activity outside of Facebook? So let's say I go to Sleep Country Canada, I buy a mattress and I fill out a warranty card, and then Sleep Country Canada sends that information to Facebook. Facebook compares the list and says, hey, yeah, I know Dan went to Sleep Country Canada. Dan is a Facebook user. We can now serve Dan ads, ads from Sleep Country Canada for maybe a new pillow, because maybe I only bought a mattress. So I could say that's allowed, or I could disallow that. Okay. You can do the same thing for Facebook. Owns a number of companies, specifically Instagram and WhatsApp. It's basically the same permission you're granting them. Are you allowing what you do on WhatsApp or Facebook to influence the type of, WhatsApp or Instagram to influence the type of ads you see while you are on Facebook? Okay. And then, yep.
I have a question.
Sure.
This happened to me yesterday.
Yep.
2 days ago, or day before yesterday, I was on an air transit site, just looking at some flights.
Yep.
But I was on the web. I wasn't on Facebook.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Bang! Yesterday, I got an ad from Air Transit.
absolutely.
on my Facebook.
Yeah. So what's
Are they
happening?
monitoring how do they do that?
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about that yesterday, but it's a really good question because it seems like magic, that's for sure. So when you go to the Air Transat site, Air Transat on their site, throughout their site, basically has a little, let's call it a searching device. It's technically called a pixel. You go to their site and they say, oh, there's this individual. We've picked up a pixel from that individual and just a bit of information. And so Air Transat will take the little bit of information they picked up from you by simply visiting the site. They don't know Air Transat does not know what that little bit of information is. Facebook does, though, because they get that pixel from the Facebook company. They say, okay, all these people visited our sites yesterday. They send that list over to Facebook, and Facebook says, yeah, of those 1,000 people that visited the Air Transat site yesterday, 500 of them have a Facebook account, and we're going to send that 500 people what they call a retargeted ad. So your ad probably talked about, let's say it can be quite sophisticated, but at minimum it'll say, use Air Transat for your next trip. So it's a cooperation between individual companies and Facebook to retarget you with a message. And companies use it very, very widely because it's quite frankly a very effective way to get a targeted message to a prospect.
So if I hit the disallow on ads based on data from partners, would not get that ad?
I believe, let me just see here. I think partners are more bricks and mortar type companies as opposed to so you have to actually fill out a card physically in writing or something, as opposed to the use of pixels. I should know the answer to this question. Your ads based on using websites. Yeah, okay, no, you're absolutely right. So it is ads. So if you clicked unallowed, that would cut the connection between, let's say, a company like Air Transat and Facebook. That's what I understand based on what I just read there quickly. Okay, so they wouldn't be allowed to remarket to you. I was in the impression, I just read that very quickly. I was in the impression it was under bricks and mortar kind of physical relationships as opposed to pixels, but I've got that wrong. Okay, does that answer your question? Yeah, okay. And this last one, social interaction. So this one's kind of interesting. So Facebook has assumed what I do on Facebook is something that my friends might do and find interesting in their lives as well. So let's say I'm on Facebook and there's a place in Burlington called Jasper's Market, and I click, yeah, I like Jasper's Market. I get to determine whether my friends will see ads for Jasper's Market based on the fact that I like them. They make an assumption that what I like, my friends probably also like. So you can change that to say, no, I don't want you to show my friends ads based on one I like. And so you click no one here. Or you can say, yeah, you can show my friends ads based on how I like and interact with things within the Facebook world. Okay. It's not very powerful, but it is one of those things that you can change. Finally, you can hide specific ad topics, whether it's alcohol, parenting, pets. I'm not too sure why that's on the list, but these are the 3 ad topics you can hide. So all that to say is you do have some power over which ads you see in Facebook. You're always going to see ads. That's their business model. You can't block them out completely. The smaller you make your net, the more targeted ads you're going to see for just those specific interests, and that's maybe not a bad thing. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about tagging. Tagging is something I personally don't do a lot of, and it tends to be more popular amongst younger people because it's kind of the grease that kind of lets the social interaction work within the Facebook environment. Okay. So when I tag somebody in a post, and I'll show you what that is in a second, that post is automatically added to that person's timeline. So it's a way of kind of putting what you say onto somebody else's timeline for them to see, and maybe for their friends to see as well. The reality of Facebook is I can tag anybody in my photos or on my posts, as long as that person has not blocked me. And anyone can tag me in their photos and their posts, as long as I have not blocked that person. So it's kind of a bit of a highway, to be honest with you. The rules around tagging are quite loose, because then they create a lot of social currency that people may not be comfortable with. But that's the way Facebook is currently designed. So here's an example. Here's a picture we took about a year ago. This is my wife and my son on his graduation ceremony. And I wanted to tag Graham, my son. So it's very simple. All I have to do is when I'm entering a post, I can hover over my son's face and a little drop box is going to appear, and I could type his name, Graham Dubray. And so that name is going to be attached essentially to this picture. When I post this onto Facebook, Graham's going to get this picture put onto his timeline automatically. Okay. Who gets to see this picture? Well, all my friends get to see this picture, and Graham gets to see this picture, and maybe Graham's friends also get to see this picture if he decides to allow that setting within Facebook. Okay. Another way of tagging is, without using a picture, is just to use a name within a post. So here I am, I've created a post. I'm going to a barbecue tonight with a little @ sign, and I start typing a name, J-A. And I'm going to say Jamie Ayers. I'm friends with Jamie Ayers. After I post this on Facebook, this little message is going to be seen by all my friends, and it's also going to be put on Jamie Ayers's timeline. And again, Jamie Ayers' friends may be able to see this post if he allows them that option. Okay, so it's a way of allowing a lot of people to get more connected through what people post on Facebook. Is that clear? So kind of a new concept for some people. Pretty straight up. Okay, great. Okay, how tagging works. I can choose to review the tags that have my name in them before they are made public on my timeline. So let's say, let's say I'm 18 years old. I went to a party, I did something stupid, and my friend the next day thinks it's really funny to post that picture on Facebook, and he actually tags me on it. I could look at that tag before it goes public on my timeline to make sure that my other friends don't see it. That said, that crazy picture will still be shown on my friend's timeline. I would actually have to reach out to my friend through text or email or a phone call and say, take that down. I really don't want that to be up there on Facebook. So ultimately, just reinforcing, you can't control who sees a tag that's made by you by another person within Facebook. You have to kind of use outside of Facebook channels to get that control. So setting our preferences, back to the chevron. I'll go back to the live screen here. Why does this always take just a second too long? Come on. There we go. Chevron, settings, back to this timeline and tagging area I'm interested in over here. Who can see the post I'm tagged in on my timeline? I've set it to only me. You can edit these preferences to be only me, everyone, friends, friends of friends. Okay. So what I'm saying is, somebody tags me in a picture. I don't want my friends that aren't that person's friends to see it. There's a way, when you're tagged in a post, who do you want to add to the audience of the post that can't already see it? This is similar in a lot of ways. And again, you've got the drop-down menu, friends, only me, and then custom. This you create sub-list of friends if you want. Do I want to review posts that I'm tagged in before they appear on my timeline? Yes. You can, and then let's skip this one here, and then do you want to review tags people add to my post before they appear on Facebook? And again, you can have kind of yes or no on that one. Okay. So these are just very simple ways that you determine how far these tagged images and these tagged messages go, primarily on your own timeline. Again, it's very hard to control where the tag messages go on your friend's timeline if that's who put the tag there. Okay. Let's go to the next page. Okay. Talk a little bit about face recognition. We talked about that yesterday. Seems like a scary idea, but Facebook does have the technology to recognize who you are based on the images and videos that you upload into Facebook. And you can allow Facebook to use that to make Facebook arguably a better experience. But probably more importantly, you could allow them to use that for kind of a safety and security measure. So for instance, if I turn that setting on, I'll show you where that setting is in a second here. It's go back to settings, go to the next page, face recognition right over here. And then if you scroll down here, it's going to be kind of, you allow them to use it or not, turn on or off. Okay. Let's go back just a screen in terms of its power. Okay, so let's say you turn that setting on. You're saying, yep, Facebook, you can use your facial recognition technology. So what does it do? When you add a photo to Facebook, it may suggest, and people have, let's say other people have suggested that or allowed Facebook to add that tag technology. It may allow and suggest specific tags of people. So remember that picture of my son when I clicked on his face? If my son allowed that facial recognition technology, it would bring up a suggestion, hey, this is Graham Dubray, and you just click, yep, that's him, boom, off to the races. Let's say a friend has put a picture of me and I've said I do want facial recognition. It detects that, and just like we said, it may suggest that your friend tag you in that picture. More importantly, though, it will let me know when I've appeared in somebody else's post and give me a notice that, hey, a picture of you has appeared up on Facebook, and basically you get to see what it is. And if it's something that's fine, you take no action. If it's something that you're concerned about or you want to take down, then you would reach out to that individual and ask them to remove the post. And that's probably most important. You've probably heard of, fake accounts within Facebook. We talked about a potential incident or issue. Let's say I'm not friends with my neighbor Peter, although I am, and he really wanted to get me by creating a fake Facebook account with my name and my picture. It's actually relatively easy to do. But if I put on facial recognition tagging and he actually puts a picture of me on that fake account, I'm going to be notified to say, hey, we've seen your picture associated with another account. Are you okay with this? And you can take steps to take that account down through that facial recognition. Okay, so something that seems a little bit scary actually does have an important use in terms of protecting your identity and protecting your account from that type of invasive use. Any questions? No? Okay. Okay, we've done that and done that. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about additional tools and apps. Give me a second here. There we go. So if you go to Facebook, you probably, if you
Excuse me, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah, it's Len here. I couldn't find my unmute button, but if somebody's got a picture of you that you don't want nobody else to see, you just got to negotiate with him to get it down. And what happens if he doesn't want to take it down?
Yeah, that's basically it. You've got little control over what other people post on Facebook about you. Whether they are your friends or not your friends. That is kind of the scary aspect of Facebook. It allows very fluid and easy currency of information, including pictures of you, whether they're innocent, perfect pictures or stuff that you just rather not have out there. That's why some people kind of go, I don't want to be part of that, and don't sign up for Facebook at all. But that's, that doesn't protect them in a sense from people can still put you out on Facebook, even if you're not a Facebook user. Yeah, you can if it's something really egregious, and I haven't looked into this. I I'm pretty sure you can apply to Facebook to have something taken down. Facebook has literally thousands of pages of content and use policies, and they've got an army of people, literally, I think close to 10,000 people, I'm not sure if they're employed in North America or Canada, that are actively looking at content each and every day by either organizations, people, brands, companies, to make sure that they are aligned with their use policies. And so there are some ways to go at it if you can't do it through a personal one-on-one basis. I've never tried it. My guess is that it's a little bit bureaucratic and maybe time-consuming, because I can't even imagine how many millions of things are being posted to Facebook literally each hour, that it's tough for them to manage. Yes, Barb.
Sheila is asking, will you be discussing the difference between tagging a friend or a page, like Rotary Club Burlington Central or CBC 1986?
I wasn't planning to do that, but when you tag, you can just as easily tag a friend. Let's go back to that. Yes?
Just a quick observation, Dan. If you could repeat the question, because I could
thanks.
hardly hear the question. I don't know if anyone else heard the question.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, so the question was, we talked about tagging friends. So here in this example, I was going to go to a barbecue with somebody, named J.A. Facebook will automatically give me a drop-down menu of people that I know that have that type of name. If I don't know anybody with a name that starts with J.A., Facebook's going to try to suggest people that it might be through friends of friends. And then if they can't find friends of friends, it's going to become a random list. The question was, can you also do this for organizations? The answer is yes. So as opposed to an individual with a name like Jamie Ayers, you could put in at, Burlington Rotary North, and boom, that will come up as a tag for that page as opposed to a tag for that individual. Yes.
Facebook 101 and 201 have been excellent. Will you consider doing the same for Instagram and Twitter?
I will probably. So the question is, are we looking at doing a course like this for Instagram and Twitter? The answer is yes for Instagram, probably in the new year. Probably not for Twitter. In terms of my strategic priorities for the district this year, it's to get as many people as comfortable with Facebook and clubs using Facebook. And then once we've kind of got that box checked off, it's then to get clubs and individuals responsible for Instagram. Instagram's a great tool. The nice thing about it, it's very much targeted or used by younger people. So if we're hoping to get younger people within the Rotary organization and the Rotaract organization, Instagram's a critical tool. So the answer is yes, we're going to do more training on these platforms, not only for users like you and me, but also from a club perspective, how to use the Instagram platform to get the word out. How do you post effectively? What type of content do you use? That type of thing. Okay. So we talked about facial recognition. It's oh yeah. So we're kind of getting to the end here. Additional tools and apps. There are literally a laundry list of things here on the side nav of your homepage that are other tools that Facebook has available for you to use. I'm going to just talk about 3 of them that I find particularly useful. The first one is events. So if I click down here, right here, you're going to see something called events. Again, based on what Facebook knows about me, it's going to suggest events that I may be interested in. So one of the things that I'm interested in is cars. And so boom, all of a sudden it's going to say, hey, there's a downtown car show in Burlington. This was last year, by the way, not, or was it? Maybe it was this year, July 2020. And, I could scroll down the page and see more and more events. And as soon as I click interested in, a message will appear on my timeline for my friends to see that says, hey, Dan's interested in this show. That may be a nice way for a friend of mine to say, hey, I was interested in that show. Let's go together. It's a nice way to connect people through Facebook who may have a common interest. You could also, in some cases, say, I'm going to this event. You're not just interested, you're actually going to go. It's a more straightforward way of letting people know that you have an intent to show up. So events is a very nice way to kind of plug into what's going on in your community based on what your interests are and letting your friends know that you have an interest in it as well. Second thing I find pretty useful is Marketplace. Again, you're going to see that on your side nav. We've probably all heard of Kijiji, where you post things up for sale, whether it's new or used stuff. Facebook Marketplace, I don't know the numbers for sure, but when I talk to people, certainly my daughter, she doesn't even use Kijiji. She goes straight to Facebook Marketplace whenever she's buying or selling anything. And it's just a great place to sell stuff that you've got piling up around your house that have a value to some other people. So if you're looking for something to sell or buy, certainly recommend the Marketplace. There are tons and tons of items there across a range of categories. If you don't look for anything, the things that it's going to suggest that you buy are a reflection of what Facebook thinks you're interested in. So again, Facebook thinks I'm interested in cars. I'm going to see some car stuff. Facebook thinks I'm interested in guitars, which I am. I'm going to see some guitar stuff. So it's going to serve up some stuff. Or if I wanted to, I can use the search bar and type in specific items, and it'll bring me to just a page of those items.
Dan?
Yes?
Adrian here.
Adrian?
Can you talk a little bit about how you place things on Marketplace?
Oh, no. I don't think I've actually ever placed things on Marketplace. I just buy stuff. It's fairly simple though. I have no doubt it's as simple as Kijiji, where you've got an account, you load up, you take a picture of the item, you load it up, and there you go. Let me just,
Yes.
Sorry.
Somebody had asked, how do you get a picture on the site?
Yeah.
And someone else asked in connection with this, how does Facebook know what you're interested in?
Okay, so if somebody asks, how do I get a picture on the site on Marketplace? You'd have to upload it specifically using the side nav that you just mentioned. And then your question was, how does Facebook know what I'm interested in? Again, it comes down to my behaviors on Facebook. If I click on a business page or organization page that is focused on cars, I've told Facebook inherently that I'm interested in cars. Same thing, let's say there's an artist I like locally who plays the acoustic guitar, and I've clicked on their site and I like their page. That has told Facebook that I'm interested in either that artist specifically or acoustic guitar music. That's the secret behind Facebook. That's their magic box. They won't actually tell you specifically, but all your activities in terms of where you go to, what you like, what you share, what you put explicitly on your profile. I could put on my profile that I love guitar. I'm a guitarist. They'll use that to target you and make sure that your Facebook experience, whether it's seeing ads or seeing content or seeing events like we're talking about now, is as relevant to you as possible, because their business model is to keep their users happy, and that's by showing people, their users, stuff that's interesting. Any question? No? Okay. The last one is games. I'm not a big Facebook gamer, but I know people who are. There's all kinds of instant games on Facebook. Most of them are free. A great place to play them individually, like solitaire, or hook up and play with two other friends. So if you are a gamer and lots of time in your hand, there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of games listed on Facebook for you to play. Okay, so I'm going to touch base on those simple other features within the world of Facebook, but it's a nice little universe of social engagement that connects the dots for yourself and your friends. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about fan pages. Sheila mentioned that a little bit in terms of liking. So you can have a friendship with a real friend and be a friend and a follower, or you can go to a business or organization and become a fan. Okay, as soon as so let's say the Rotary District 780, we've got a Facebook page. That's technically another name for a fan page. They're the same thing. If you go to that page and you have an option to say, hey, I like this page. As soon as you click like, you're automatically following that page. Facebook's going to assume since you went to that place, you sought them out, and you click like, they're going to start showing you the posts from that page. So for instance, I put up posts for the district. I assume that most people that go to the district site are either Rotarians or people that are interested in becoming Rotarians. So the type of content I put up there is typically general messages about what Rotary is as an organization within our own, little corner of Ontario here, or what they're doing globally. And my hope is that that will be engaging enough for people to kind of take the next step and find a meeting. I also put posts for events that are happening, or fundraisers that happen within our district in order to celebrate their success. So it's just, there are 1,500 followers of the district Facebook page. So if I put a post on there, there's a good chance that, let's say the bottle drive in Oakville that's happening right now, it's a great idea. They raised probably $9,000 or $10,000 at this point. By putting that post up on our district Facebook page, maybe another club in another part of our district will say, hey, I can replicate that. We're far enough from Oakville. Let's do this in the Guelph region and see if we can raise $10,000. So it's a way of sharing news across our district through a page. We also have, oops, I'm gonna skip that. Something called a Facebook group. So anybody can create a Facebook group, and the content of that group can be virtually anything you want it to be. So most groups are public, but some are private. So for instance, our district has a Facebook group. It's currently up until recently, it was a public group. Anybody could join, and anybody could post whatever they wanted to on that group. Since I've taken the position of director of PR, I'm going to change that a little bit. I'm actually going to turn it into a private group so that only people within the group get to see what's posted. Only people that within the group can post stuff. And in order to be part of that group, we want you to be a Rotarian. Now, you can be a Rotarian in our district or another district, but I'm trying to create a little environment where Rotarians talk to other Rotarians about what's interesting to them. And it could be about Rotary, or it could be about other things. Right now, I think we probably have about 400 or 500 people in that group. I'm guessing, but there's probably about 100, maybe 150 people in that group who aren't Rotarians. Which, I'm not going to manage in the short term, but over the long haul, I'd love it to be 100% Rotarians. Okay. You've probably heard about groups recently in the news. Groups can have a very dark side. You hear about all these paramilitary organizations in the States who create these private, secret Facebook groups, and they use them to organize stuff that isn't very nice and talk about things that aren't very appropriate. Facebook does the best it can to take down those groups as soon as they see them. They could probably be doing a lot more, to be honest with you. So this is what our group looks like. You type in Rotary District Community, or let's say you just typed in District 780 Group. You would come to a page like this. You would ask to join right here. We would ask you a few simple questions. Which club do you belong to? Where is that club located? And boom, all of a sudden you're in the club. And as I mentioned, when you go there right now, you're going to see this message at the top that says, coming at the end of August, this is going to be a closed group. Again, targeted at just Rotarians, only allowing those people within the group to post stuff. Okay. Okay, so that is it for today. What's the little time check?
9:48.
9:48. So we got roughly 15 minutes if you want to stay on, and we can do a Q&A. If people have an interest in learning how to create lists of friends within Facebook, I can cover that now. Maybe you can indicate that within the comment section. It's totally up to you. Nope.
Again, Dan, well done.
Okay. Thank you.
Could you just remind me how to get to the ad preferences? Like I go to setting, like how do I get to that so I can delete some of the ad preferences?
Sure, absolutely. Let me just get to that. So it always takes this computer a second or two to get out of this PowerPoint screen. Here we go. So over here, we go to settings. They should make this little arrow a lot more obvious because it's got a lot of power. So arrow, settings, ads over here. Click the ads. And then you're shown this kind of this drop down screen where we talked about what are my interests. Again, Facebook has different classifications of interests, even more over here.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
People are interested in lists.
Okay, we're going to just show you very quickly. This won't take too much time. I'm going to show you how to create a list within Facebook. Okay, so if you're like me, I've only been in Rotary a couple of years, but my list of friends has grown exponentially since I've become a Rotarian. And I've gotten to the point where I probably want to create a list of Rotary friends because there may be some posts that I put on my personal timeline that I only want to go out to Rotarians as opposed to the rest of my friends. Things and those posts would probably be related around, you know, Rotary and what it's up to and what I find interesting. So I will go to home, go to the side nav here and find friends lists. This is where you can create and manage your lists. Okay. If you click friends list, you're going to get this little pop-up screen that says create lists. Click on that. And it's going to create another little pop-up and I get to name the list. So whatever I type in here, the very first time is what the list is going to be named. And then I start listing names. Facebook will help you by suggesting names. So let's say I type in JA. It may type anybody who is currently on my friends list with those first two letters, and its name will come up as a default. And I can just click on them and it'll finish typing out the rest. But essentially I have to know specifically who I want on that list. Facebook can't figure out that for you and kind of create a simple list where you check yes or check no. It's a little bit of a manual process. So if let's say you've got 100 Rotary friends, it may take you a little while to create this list. If you're new to Facebook, you know, I'd suggest you actually create this list early and can, you know, kind of keep it current and as time goes on. So once I've created that list, you know, for instance, I've created a list called Rotary Friends. Right now that list is only partially populated for me. I can then use that list. Let's say I have a post. Okay, so I'm creating a post for myself on my timeline or my news feed. I want to decide who's going to see the post. I click here, this little drop-down menu. It's going to be seen on my news feed, drop-down menu. I have these options to pick. It could be all my friends except for a few people, specific people, or a list. And this is where that list that I created is going to appear, my Rotary friends. So if I click on here, only my Rotary friends will see this post that I'm about to make. Okay. Another way of going about it is go to home, click the friends list. If I click Rotary Friends, it's a list that I created for myself, boom. All of a sudden, it's going to bring me to an opportunity to post to just my Rotary friends. So as soon as I enter something here and click post, only my Rotary friends are going to see it. Okay. If I wanted to add names to this specific list of friends, over here on the right-hand side, it says manage the list. So I can either rename the list, give it a different name. I can edit who's on the list by putting new names on it, or I can delete the list. Let's say if it's something that, let's say I decide to quit Rotary in 5 years, I might want to delete that list because it's not relevant for me anymore. So yeah, that's an easy way, relatively easy. There is some work required on your part to actually identify the people within your list of friends who are on that list. So you kind of, before you start, you should, kind of take notes, have an idea who you want to put on, and, just enter them kind of one at a time. But like I said, not Rotary, but Facebook does make it somewhat easy, because as you start to enter people's names, it'll, populate the rest of that name for you. So you don't have to type in every last letter of every last name. Question?
Are pixels the same as cookies?
Are pixels the same as cookies? Not exactly. Cookies are used by advertisers to essentially pre-populate some of the information that you see on their website. It creates kind of a relationship between that website and you directly. A pixel is very much a Facebook tool. It creates a relationship between you, that website, and Facebook. So let's say a cookie is kind of a two-way street between you and the company that has the website. A pixel is more like a triangle. It creates a relationship between you and the company that has a website, and between the company and Facebook, and between Facebook and you. Okay. Its purposes can be similar, but they're not exactly the same. Cookies are essentially, more than anything else, made to speed up your web browsing experience because it essentially pre-populates some of the information that that is already listed on that company's website into your browser. Any more
Dan,
questions? Yeah.
Yes, Dan, when you're doing your targeted list creation and sending it to a particular group, such as Rotary Friends,
Yep.
is that pretty much the same as tagging? Is it the same, another name for tagging?
No, tagging is more of an individual experience. You have to tag one person at a time. We did talk about tagging an organization, which is certainly something you can do. If you tag, let's say, again, let's say I tag, I put a post on my timeline and I tag Rotary Burlington North, people will see that I've tagged that organization. It'll make it public, but it's not in any way kind of a list type of functionality. Yeah, they're very different things. I don't know if I've answered your question there.
Yes, that answers it. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, great. Well, again, I thank you for your time this morning. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully we'll get out and enjoy it before the cold weather sets in. I know I'm planning to walk the dogs and then pick some weeds. Very exciting day. Very good. This will be made available on our district YouTube channel. So we've recorded this, and I'll also post all the slides that we used this morning on our district website. I'll send out an invitation or those two links to everybody who registered today, probably sometime tomorrow morning. So look for that in your email sometime tomorrow morning, and we'll take it from there.
And it's
Yep.
Greg.
Greg.
When everybody's gone, can I quickly share my screen with you and show you something?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Dan. Well
No,
done.
my pleasure. Stop recording.